Good evening, dear friends. Welcome to Newspaper Analysis Townhall. So today we are going to analyze these three themes which are important for your mains as well as prelims examination. So let us try to understand our first topic. This is an article that has been published in the Hindu newspaper, The End Game in the Russian-Ukraine War. So we are not just going to understand the end game. We will discuss this topic comprehensively. We will discuss the timeline of the events. We will discuss about NATO, the causes of war, and the end game. So this you can see is map of Ukraine. These regions that you are seeing, these regions are currently in possession of Russia. Russia controls these regions. Crimea, Russia annexed in 2014. So Kyiv is the capital, and this is the Dnieper River that is flowing on. Now, let us come to the timeline. Let's try to understand the historical context. So in 1991, Soviet Union got disintegrated. So this is the picture of Mikhail Gorbachev, in which he is announcing the disintegration of Soviet Union and the birth of Russia. Along with that, after some time, Ukraine got independence, which was the republic in Soviet Union. Now in 1991, Ukraine got independence. In 1994, Ukraine basically gave up nuclear weapons, which it inherited from Soviet Union. So this is a trilateral statement signed by US President Clinton, Russian President Yeltsin. So he is Yeltsin, and this is Clinton, and Ukrainian President Kravchuk, in which what guarantees Ukraine got? Ukraine got the guarantee of territorial integrity. It means that the territorial integrity shall be respected by both US as well as Russia. Now come forward to 2008. Well, in 2008, there was a Bucharest summit. Bucharest is capital of Romania. Bucharest NATO summit. And in this NATO summit, there was a possibility that came that Ukraine and Georgia can eventually join NATO. Now this came as a threat to Russia, and we will discuss ahead why it is a threat to Russia. And just after that, Russia attacked Georgia and annexed some of its regions. So as we can see, in 2008, in the Bucharest NATO summit, Western countries first time told the possibility that yes, Ukraine can be a member of NATO. And from here, an important root cause of present conflict started. Now come to 2010. In 2010, there was a Ukrainian president, Viktor Yanukovych, and he reaffirmed that Ukraine will remain neutral. And he also told that Ukraine is abandoning any plan to join NATO. We'll see soon what NATO is. NATO is a military alliance of Western countries, including USA. It was formed in 1949, and they have system of collective defense. It means if one country is attacked, all other countries will have to come to the defense of attacked country. So in 2010, Ukrainian president said that Ukraine will remain neutral. Now in 2014, what happened? Viktor Yanukovych was removed. Russia considered this event as a coup. by USA. And after that, what Russia did in retaliation? Russia annexed this region. This region is called Crimea. Why it is important? Because it is very much strategic. This is Black Sea. It has outlet on Black Sea. There is a very important naval base in Sevastopol. Russia also encroached and annexed these regions, which is Donetsk and Luhansk region, because there is a lot of Russian speaking population here. So Russia said that we are basically protecting the Russian speaking population. Now this was a very important turn of event when Russia annexed Crimea. So what exactly happened after Russia annexation? Ukraine came closer to NATO. In 2018, Ukraine even amended its constitution and said that its goal is to join NATO. Now, one thing led to another and another thing led to Russia announcing a special military operation against Ukraine, which is currently going on. Let us try to understand. So this is a picture of Russia and Ukraine borders before the invasion. You can see these two were the areas that were already annexed in 2014. This is the boundary between Russia and Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine share more than 2000 kilometers of land boundary. Now see, in March 2022, Russia launched this operation in Feb. So these are the areas where it advanced. These are also the areas which are also very important for minerals. Russia is a country which has very huge abundance of minerals. Now in November 2022, Russia regained some of the grounds. So these are the areas which you are seeing here. It regained control, but however, this area is still under military control of Russia. Coming forward to May 2025, this is area which is completely in control of Russia. Now let us try to see NATO. This you can see is Russian boundary. Russia is also sharing border with Finland. Post Russia's advance in Ukraine, Finland became member of NATO. After that, Sweden also became member of NATO. NATO is North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is a military alliance. In 1949, its aim was to stop communism. And its method is collective defense. It means an attack on one member is considered as attack on all members according to Article 5 of NATO Charter. Its headquarters in Brussels, Belgium. Its members are 32. The recent members are Finland and Sweden. Now you can understand why Russia is opposing NATO's entry into Ukraine's entry into NATO. You can understand. If Ukraine become part of NATO, Western forces, Western missiles, Western weapons would be on doorstep of Russia. Russia generally considers Ukraine and Belarus as buffer area. So this is an important region. Russia thinks that if Ukraine joins NATO, it is a threat to Russia's territorial integrity. And when Ukraine got independent, it was also an expectation that Ukraine will become neutral. Now let us see what are the main causes. Now, according to John Mearsheimer, who is a realist scholar, he thinks that the main causes is making Ukraine a Western outpost. NATO in Ukraine means Western military weapons at Russia's doorstep. Putin in 2021 has said that we simply have nowhere to retreat to. It means that they take this threat very seriously. Russia even requested security guarantees in 2021 that Ukraine will not become member of NATO, which US rejected. It also became one important reason for this present conflict. Then what is happening after 2014? Ukraine has already become like a de facto NATO ally because NATO is training them, NATO is arming them, NATO countries are financing them. In present conflict, Ukraine is a proxy battlefield between West plus NATO countries and Russia. Here you can see these areas which are under the possession or military control of Russia. These are the areas which are very rich in minerals. Ukraine has huge resources for coal, iron, gas, and rare minerals. So this Donetsk region, Luhansk region, it is very important from that perspective also. Now, what are the implications? Implication is that this conflict can turn into nuclear war, because if there is a real threat to Russia, Russia will not hesitate into using nuclear weapon. Then there is a huge disaster, huge losses for Ukraine. And now let us try to discuss what is possible endgame. Now, in the article that is also discussed that what are the possibilities of this endgame. There is a peace process which is called Istanbul Peace Process. Now, what are the terms that are being discussed in this? That Ukraine will not join NATO, but it will receive US security guarantee. Okay. And sanctions on Russia will be gradually lifted. Fine. What is Russia demanding? Russia is demanding that Ukraine should remain neutral. It should not join NATO at any cost. Russia is also demanding the demilitarization of Ukraine. Russia is also demanding a guarantee that Ukraine will not receive any Western country support for arms. What is West? And primarily West minus USA. Most of the European countries want Russia strategically weakened. That USA also want. EU and NATO has termed Russia as a sponsor of terrorism. USA has not termed it. Now how things have changed after coming of Trump? Trump wants to avoid this conflict because he believes that it is not his priority. He wants to focus on China and Indo-Pacific. That is why since he has come, he's been talking about deal between Ukraine, Russia, and US. There is possible mineral deal also between US and Ukraine for the support that US had provided and will provide. What Mearsheimer think? Mearsheimer, the realist thinker, he thinks that there is very less prospect for peace until Ukraine become neutral state. Ukraine must abandon the integration with Western military and security guarantees should be provided to Russia. Then only there is any chance for peace. So that was all for this discussion about Russia and Ukraine conflict. What we have learned? We have learned about the causes and also the causes by Mearsheimer. Then we have learned about NATO and we have learned about the end game. What is one important development is Operation Spiderweb. This is conducted by Ukraine. It is a drone attack in deep Russia. Various drones attacked various facilities, including aircraft, bombers in Russia. Now let us move on to next topic. And next topic is about the hazard of going global on Pakistan-India issues. So this article is written by T.P. Srinivasan, who is a former ambassador of India. He is discussing the challenges of going global. Now this is also a news about PM has received member of multi-party delegations that had gone for diplomatic outreach in various countries. Now let us try to analyze this. Now what has triggered this diplomatic outreach to many countries sent by India? Operation Sindoor. Operation Sindoor is India's response to terror attack in Pahalgam. When Pakistan is trying to internationalize this issue of India's response, India has also launched a diplomatic campaign to shape international opinion. 7 multi-party delegations were sent to 33 capitals and European Union. The delegation sent to USA was headed by Mr. Shashi Tharoor, who is a MP from Congress Party. He is MP of Thiruvananthapuram. Now, what are the objectives of this delegation? To provide India's position that JK, Jammu and Kashmir, is its integral part, and to expose Pakistan's role in counter-border terrorism, and to provide India's measured and proportionate response under international law. What is this international law? Under UN Charter, Article 51, there is right for self-defense. So we have justified our Operation Sindoor under Article 51 UN Charter. And to prevent any kind of neutrality from countries or any kind of equivalence between India and Pakistan. As Mr. Shashi Tharoor and delegation compelled Colombia to change its stand. Colombia earlier criticized the loss of life in Pakistan, which it retracted later on. Now, the author of this article is discussing some challenges. Challenges is that United Nations maps, the official maps by United Nations, they carry this disclaimer that final status of Jammu Kashmir is still unresolved. Now, this presents a major challenge because many countries look towards United Nations maps and they think that JK is a disputed territory. So that is why our panel that went to various countries, its primary job was to tell that Jammu Kashmir is an integral part of India. What Pakistan does? In 1948, when after Pakistan occupied illegally POK and when India went to United Nations came up with the proposal of plebiscite. But it was conditional. What was the condition? Condition was that first Pakistan will have to retreat. So Pakistan used this plebiscite to tell that the status of Jammu Kashmir is unresolved. However, we are telling that Jammu Kashmir is integral part, and yes, it is an integral part. Why this option of plebiscite is non-viable? Because Pakistan has not retreated. It is illegally occupying some parts of Kashmir. That is why many foreign governments avoid taking position. This is a challenge. Now, one major challenge that the article is telling about is Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. This was proposed by India 30 years back to define terrorism. However, there could be no consensus on definition of terrorism. The writer notes that India's support to rebels in Sri Lanka at some point of time is also used by United Nations to discredit CCIT. Now, UN mechanism on terrorism and remains weak and vague. Yes, we all know that. Recently, Pakistan has been made vice chair of Committee on Terrorism by UNSC. So this is a huge joke. The country which is responsible for terrorism has been made vice chair. So India has protested this. Now UN still prefers focus on root causes and human rights approach, limiting India's space for aggressive countermeasures. Yeah, fine. But many countries try to make an equivalence between India and Pakistan. There is hyphenation. This is something called hyphenation. Hyphenation means equivalence. India say that there is no equivalence, and truly there is no equivalence between India and Pakistan. India is a victim of terror and Pakistan is a sponsor of terror. Then how can there ever be a equivalence? India must shape its global narrative actively and not allow others to define it, by Shashi Tharoor. So that was it in this article. So in this article, what we have learned is about our outreach, its objectives, the challenges that such outreach face. Now let us come to our last topic. So there is this report from UNFPA, and this report title is State of World Population, the Real Fertility Crisis. Now what this report is telling, that India has 146.39 crore population by April. India has already crossed this. India has already become the world most populous country. Right? Now India's population will peak at 170 crore in next 40 years and then it will decline. It is also talking something about total fertility rate. So let's see what is total fertility rate. It is the average number of children a woman is expected to have during her childbearing years. So if the total fertility rate is 4, means that on an average, a woman will have 4 children in a country. If it is 2 means 2 children during her childbearing years. What is replacement rate? Replacement rate is the TFR which is needed for each generation to replace previous generation. And that replacement rate is 2.1. It means that if 100 crore is the population currently, now there must be TFR of 2.1 to maintain this 100 crore population for next generation. It means on an average, 2 children should be born, 2.1. So let's take it 2 by a woman in her childbearing age. Now TFR of India has fallen below this replacement rate. TFR is 1.9, replacement rate is 2.1. Now elderly's population above 65 age, this is 7% expected to rise. Life expectancy for men, it is 71 years at birth, and for women it is 74 years. So there is one important analysis from this report is that the real challenge is not overpopulation or underpopulation, it is lack of reproductive agency. What is the meaning of reproductive agency? Unable to make free and informed choice about sex, contraception or family planning. It means many people or many women are not able to have this decision by herself. This is the major challenge. It also shows the shades of patriarchy in society. Thank you so much for seeing this discussion. If you have any question, you can just write down in comment.